Good evening, football fans. What's going on? Bill Corpus Crispy Murphy here, and welcome to Thursday Night Gridiron for Week 10 of the NFL. And I am joined by the president of the Sports Insanity Network, Lawrence Patchman Lang. What's going on, Patchman?
Uh, to quote an old country song, we're going to go to Travis Tritt here. We're going to go, it's a great day to be alive because I know the sun is still shining when I close my eye instead of eyes because, I don't see out of one. So we'll make a joke out of that one too. But it's a great day, man. We're here to talk some football. We actually have I think, a decent Thursday night football matchup for once,
Yeah,
and we're not stuck in the gutter.
yeah. And especially after all the madness of this week.
You know, we're not going to get political here
Yeah,
today.
but no, I wasn't trying to
We're
get
not we're not we're
political.
not here to get
No,
political, but
I
I
wasn't trying to.
I, I know I was going to say something.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
We, Tuesday we had an election. Former President Trump is now the president elect, and it's going to be an interesting ride to say the least. And we have to move forward and do what's best for our country. And I'm going to leave it at that. And let's talk some football.
Yeah, and if some of you are still coming down from your nerves this week, don't worry, we got you covered. If you just want to hear us talk about a nice, wholesome game of football, we're
We
here.
can do that. Or if you want to hear me roast Bill for the next hour, we can do that too.
We could do both. And
You can roast me too.
but before we begin, I want to thank John Oliver for filling in for me last week.
Well, John Oliver did a semi-decent job until Sir Eric Ford came in and decided to put John Oliver on the shelf and voice his opinions about the Jets.
Hey, you got to admit, for him being a Brit who probably knew nothing about American football, he did a pretty decent job.
Yeah, I think John Oliver knows a little football.
Yeah, but
There was a
okay,
sad,
well,
and then there was a sad Yankee fan here that couldn't get over a fifth inning blowout, debacle, demise, whatever you want to call it.
and then there was a lumberjack here too.
Yes, there was. It was an
Uh,
interesting crew last week.
we had an interesting crew last week. We had John Oliver, a sad Yankee
It
fan, and a lumberjack.
was kind of like the Village People almost.
We really got to be vetted these people, Patch. What do you think?
I think they did a decent job. So
I think they did a very decent job.
we'll have to come back for next year.
If you didn't watch last week's show, go do that. You'll understand exactly what we're talking about. Anyway, time to get down to business. But before that, we got some quick things we want to talk about. The NFL trade deadline was this Tuesday. And I have to say, dude, you had the election, the NFL trade deadline, and the college football playoff ranking reveals all on the same day.
Well, one ended at, let's see here. One ended at 4:30, one started at 7, and results for the other thing started coming out at like 9. So it was an interesting day here in America.
Why did you schedule all these in one day? But
Well,
anyway,
the NFL has a set date for always their trade deadline. We're halfway through the season of the college football world, so they got to do their shenanigans to where they want to put Alabama and make sure they make the playoffs again for reasons that I can still vent about. But
yeah,
it's election Tuesday. Sometimes we're gonna have a hodgepodge of stuff going on.
yeah. And listen, Patchy and I can actually agree on something. We both can't stand Alabama. Um,
F Alabama, but roll tide, Bama.
but anyway, so two trades that were happening. Marshawn Lattimore was traded to the Washington Commanders from the New Orleans Saints. This could really help with Washington's secondary, and they got a 2025 fifth round pick,
Chump change.
and they sent a third, fourth, and sixth round pick to New Orleans.
Helps New Orleans in their, destiny to rebuild after life after Drew Brees. So,
And just earlier this week on Monday, Dennis Allen was fired. So I think the would you call this a rebuild or a retooling?
for what? New Orleans
New
or
Orleans.
it's a rebuild for New Orleans. New Orleans, they, New Orleans was kind of like an up and down. It's like an up and down ride at the fair. It's like being on the Ferris wheel at the fair. It just goes for a little bit and then it stops, goes a little bit, stops, goes a little bit, stops, then it goes for a little bit, and you have some fun. You go around in a circle once or twice, and then the ride's over, and that's what New Orleans is right now. It's an emotional ride where it's one week they look really good, they look like a playoff football team, and then it's you're riding the sewer train and you're in a crappy situation.
Oh, absolutely. So anyway, that this is but yeah, but no, yeah, because New Orleans is going to be getting a new coach. They're going to be getting a new QB in the draft in a year where there's really not a lot of big QBs this year.
Well, this also falls into a situation where does New Orleans unload a draft pick and get a veteran QB that's been in the league? Well, I don't want to say veteran QB, but experienced quarterback in the league that, can maybe be reliable in an offense like this. Maybe Bryce Young gets a fresh start. I hate to say it, Bill. Daniel Jones might be on the subway out of the MetLife of life. If if Aaron Rodgers wants to go one more year and doesn't want to be in New Jersey with the Jets, maybe AR ends up in New Orleans for one year.
Yeah, no, don't hate to say that Daniel Jones is going to be out of East Rutherford because I'd say good, keep him.
Daniel
No, he
Jones signed through
sucks.
it.
He sucks.
Mid. He's mid. We'll go mid. He doesn't suck. He doesn't fit. He doesn't fit the New York mind. He's just he maybe he just can't play in New York. We've seen many players that come to New York can't play in New York. Once they leave, they do better.
No, that is true.
We've seen it with the Yankees. We've seen it with the Mets. We've seen it with the Knicks, the Nets, the Rangers, the Islanders, the Devils. Devils are Jersey, but close enough. You get the point.
Yes. And also, speaking of one of the New York teams, the New York Jets traded Mike Williams to the Steelers.
But it just shows you the Jets have no faith in anything, and they're going to get draft picks, and then they're going to go beat, and then they just beefed up. They beat up. They beefed up the Pittsburgh, which is in a division where it's two teams. It's 6-2, 6-3 with Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and you got Cincinnati creeping up behind. If Cincinnati gets a win tonight, they're
I
back.
think,
They're back in the mix. I think for the division. Cleveland. I'm sorry, Cleveland. It's
and I think
Cleveland.
Kevin Stefanski's going to get shown the door.
Probably.
Yeah. So I think, those were very interesting trade deadline picks.
I mean, look at the Commanders are the front runner right now to win the East and
Yeah,
the
so
the NFC.
yes, I think they are.
they're
Yes, they
they're.
absolutely are.
I mean, it's going to be them in Philadelphia. Dallas with now Prescott being out with a hamstring injury. Dallas is Dak Dak just pulled the ultimate Uno reverse card, saying, "Hey, pay me, I'm going to do good," and then the epitome of stinkiness happens. Shout out to old ops guy. Sorry to bash your Cowboys as you're on the road to recovery. We love you. We want you to get better. We hope you're back soon. And then there's the New York Giants, where Daniel Jones finally threw a touchdown in MetLife for the first time in 2 years.
Yes, that is true. So
So if the Commanders stay healthy, And Philly keeps doing their things. That's a battle for the division till the end. You got you got Jaden Daniels just out, kind of like the chip on the shoulder where maybe I should have been the number one pick and not Caleb Williams. Like Jaden Daniels has shown that he belongs well. He keeps evolving as a rookie in the league and being the QB1.
But no, I think he's in a better situation than Caleb Williams is right now.
The Bears need a few more things. I think they need to get another. They need to fire Eberflus. I'm surprised Eberflus has lasted this long.
I think if the Bears finish with a winning record, not making the playoffs, even if they just finish with a winning record, I think Eberflus is staying.
It, it, it's going to depend, if you look at if you look at the Bears schedule coming off, they get the Patriots this weekend and then they get the Packers, how the Packers bye. Then they get the next three games, they get division matchups. They go Packers after the Patriots, it's Packers, Vikings, Lions, Niners, Vikings again, Lions again, Seahawks, and then Packers again. And we know the recent history between the Packers and the Bears, where the Packers have absolutely just owned the Chicago Bears. And then you got a red hot Lions team and a semi hot Minnesota team, where it's if the Bears if the Bears got to win some football games here to keep Eberflus in there, and if the winning record doesn't happen. If they have a losing record, Eberflus is out. They miss the playoffs because of how tight, the division is and how all three teams can make the playoffs. All four teams, I'll take that back. All four teams can make the playoffs. Eberflus is still out. Even if you have a winning record, Eberflus is out. It's different where, Mike Tolman is consistent with having a winning record since his tenure in Pittsburgh has been. But you're looking at two completely different coaches. You look at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is always in the mix, and then you have the run the Bears have been on since Jay Cutler, where it's not good.
Now, and I agree with you on that assessment. But anyway, yeah, so that is the news with the trade deadline. Now it's time to talk about tonight's game. This is actually a divisional rematch. This is actually a divisional rematch between the Ravens and the Bengals. The Ravens, this was from week 5 when the Ravens won 41-38 in overtime off of a field goal by Justin Tucker.
Clutchest kicker in the league.
Yeah, he is the best kicker in the league. Oh, also, fun fact, he's also an opera singer on the side.
For him.
Hey, he's a jack of all trades.
Mm.
Master of probably some of them. But anyway, yeah, so last time around for the Ravens, Lamar Jackson threw 26 out of 42, 348 yards and 4 touchdowns, 1 touchdown from Derrick Henry. The other from Charlie Kolar, Rashad Bateman, and 2 touchdowns from Isaiah Luckley. And flipping over to the Bengals, Joe Burrow, 30 out of 39, 392 yards, 5 touchdown passes. Jamar Chase, 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins, 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins is still out tonight. And Chase Brown, 1 touchdown. And now going over to the Ravens. We're going to talk about the Ravens first. They are coming off a win against the Denver Broncos by a score of 41 to 10. And in that game last week, Lamar Jackson went 16 completions out of 19 attempts with 280 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Derrick Henry went 23 carries, 106 yards with 2 touchdowns and rushing. And when it came to receiving, you had Zay Flowers with 5 receptions, 127 yards, 2 touchdowns. and Patrick Richard with 1 reception, 3 yards, and 1 touchdown. Like I said, Ravens beating the Broncos by a score of 41-10. So, Patchman,
Yes.
I would like to ask, are they the best team in the AFC right now?
If we're looking at the picture here right now as I pull up on my phone. I should have just kept it open because I was on ESPN. Haha. If we're looking at, you know, a if we're looking at a conference, way, uh, on paper, when they're all healthy, they're top three. Right now you have the Kansas City Chiefs, still undefeated, on a we'll go questionable run because, people like to blame the rest for, them fixing games and all that, but yada yada. And Travis Kelce finally woke up. If, healthy wise, yes, I would say I maybe, a couple people maybe out there top three. I still think it's Kansas City, Buffalo, then Baltimore. You know, we can never count Josh Allen out and company. Yes, he lost Stephon Diggs, but then he picks up another great wide receiver that he now has at his disposal. Run game is good. Defense is holding their own. And, above them is the Chiefs, great offense. Everyone's performing well. They added key pieces to help build up their defense and offense. Maybe the Chiefs lose 2 or 3 games and Baltimore still is on a run. I could say confidently that maybe Baltimore is the best team in the conference and even maybe the league. But I can't say that right now. You got Lamar's on another nice MVP run. Derrick Henry, fresh start in Baltimore, doing, kind of like what Saquon's doing out in Philadelphia. Fresh start and finally, performing like we know how they play football and not, underperforming when they've been with abysmal teams.
Oh, absolutely. So I think, you know, I think they could be the best team right now, right beside the Chiefs. But like we said, they keep getting all the calls. I think Mahomes is starting to get the Brady treatment. I think Mahomes is starting to get the Brady treatment. I don't know what you think, but I think they're the second best only to the Chiefs. And next question is, should they have added at the trade deadline?
Uh, I mean, depending what was in the market, you could have gotten Mike Williams from the Jets. You could have maybe beefed up your defense a little bit, but I think they weren't really looking at it. I think they're just going to roll with what they had. Yeah, I think there weren't that many pieces out there that, would have been worth trading draft picks for or even a player. Because we very rarely see player for player trade. We usually just see player draft pick trade. So I think Baltimore was smart not beefing up on anything. I think they're just gonna roll with what they got because I think they have a complete team that can go against Kansas City if they meet in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, well, to the trade deadline, I think they made some good moves. Cornerback Tre'Davious White, who they signed from the Los Angeles Rams to help the secondary. Wide receiver Deontay Johnson from the Panthers. I think, they could have gotten another secondary because White is injury prone, but hopefully he can stay healthy, but he's only played 4 games this year. So I think they could have went with someone else. I don't know what you think.
It's fine, Yeah, okay. Yes, he's only played 4 games. Okay, he's played half the season. Okay, injuries happen. We're not faulting someone for getting hurt. If that were the case, we would be talking about a bunch of other players that have been hurt this season who haven't played at all yet.
Next question is, how much pressure is on Lamar this weekend? This
I
this
mean,
tonight. This
for
season.
tonight,
This season. No, how
this
much
season.
pressure is on Lamar this season? I'm sorry, damn.
We've been waiting for. It's kind of like Josh Allen. We're waiting for one of them to get over the Patrick Mahomes hump. Joe Burrow did it. And kind of that's the only other person that's gotten over the Joe Burrow hump minus Tom Brady beating Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Regardless, you know, the Chiefs are, the new dynasty in the AFC where, not many teams can get over the Chief hump and get through the Red Kingdom. I mean, with the Brady dynasty, we saw very few teams in that finished off New England. The Giants did it twice, Philly did it once, and then a couple other times, in the AFC Championship game, you had Denver. I think Denver outed them once when Peyton was there on the way to Super Bowl 50, and missing another up and Pittsburgh a couple times. I think beat Tom Brady and company. So we're looking for what like I said, Josh Allen is another example. We're waiting for him and Lamar to, get over the Mahomes hump. And then we can see what Baltimore maybe can do in a Super Bowl, against a Philly team, against a Commanders team, Packers team, a San Francisco team,
The Detroit
or
team.
Detroit team. Yeah, sorry, the line. The if honestly, if Baltimore Detroit would be a great Super Bowl matchup between two great coaches, and you got the resurgence in Detroit with all their power, and then you got Baltimore where Lamar finally has a moment to shine in a Super Bowl moment, hopefully.
I think that's the Super Bowl people would want.
There's a I I think anybody wants a Super Bowl without the Chiefs.
I'm gonna say it, and I'll say
Minus
it.
the state of Missouri.
The Chiefs are becoming the new Patriots. It's that famous quote from the movie The Dark Knight, Patch Man. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And the Chiefs have become the villain.
It was cute at first, and that's like, all right, I'm kind of over this. I need something new.
Oh God, Patch, you're sounding like my father. He says the exact same thing. He goes, I don't want to see Kansas City go to the Super Bowl. I'm like, why? He goes, I just want something new, something different.
It's kind of like watching the Yankees, make the playoffs so many times in a row, or when the Yankees were winning division all the time, division titles, and then we saw them in a bunch of, minus the '90s. We saw them go another couple World Series runs. Like, I just want some new teams here. I'm sick and tired of seeing this.
And my dad is like, I'm tired of seeing Kansas City. I'm tired of seeing, I want to see Buffalo. I want to see Detroit.
You probably want to see the Giants there, even though that's pipe dream.
No, we can only hope, my
It's
friend.
a
We can only
it's a
hope.
fantasy
But
land dream right now. It's
for
Candyland.
me, it's in a mixed bag. I think because they made
I'm
the
not
AFC Championship last year with Lamar. But on the other hand, I think if they could make it over the all the way and make it past, like you said, that Mahomes hump.
if Fulham loses, it credifies Lamar Jackson as a top quarterback in the league. We certified Joe Burrow, being a great quarterback. Even though Josh Allen hasn't made a Super Bowl yet, he's made an AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. We've credified Josh Allen as a great quarterback. And we've done it with Lamar here and there, but for Lamar to make a Super Bowl, it's that stamp. It's that stamp saying, what, Lamar, you are one of the top quarterbacks in the league right now, and you belong in that conversation of today's greats in the NFL and quarterbacks.
And like, here's the thing though, Patch Man. I think right now we're sort of getting like what we got when we were younger, when we saw like Peyton and Brady and well, Favre was at the tail end of his career. But Brett Favre, then later Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. We had that era.
We had that era, but we also knew that Drew Brees won a Super Bowl, certified. Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl certified. Ben Roethlisberger won 2 Super Bowls, certified. So even though he didn't,
Tom Brady beyond certified. Tom Brady beyond certified. Okay, okay, Patch is having internet problems again. But no, I think, from when we were young, those quarterbacks are certified, and we're looking right now. I think that by this logic, the only quarterback who is certified as of this moment is Patrick Mahomes. I think he is the only certified quarterback right now. So hopefully Lamar Jackson gets his certification. Okay, let us flip the ball, no pun intended, to the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's flash it to the Cincinnati Bengals, folks, shall we? Okay, the Bengals, and I forgot to mention this last time around, that is my fault. The the Bengals in their first meeting, Jamar Chase went 30 for 39 with 392 yards. No, Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow went 30 for 39, 392 yards, five touchdown passes, two touchdowns from Jamar Chase, two from T. Higgins, and a touchdown from Chase Brown. The Now, when it comes to the Bengals, do I believe they can be a playoff team? According to CBS Sports, they have currently a 24.9% chance of making the playoffs. And if you look at the upcoming schedule for the Bengals,
Hashtag internet problems, people. Sorry.
yeah, if you look at the upcoming schedule for the Bengals, you got the Chargers, then they got a bye, then they got the Steelers, the Cowboys,
Sweeney.
the Titans, the Browns, the Broncos, and the Steelers again. So, Patch, with that schedule, and according to CBS Sports, 24.9% chance, are the Bengals a playoff team? Patch? Okay, his internet's out again, folks. I might be finishing this show by myself. Are the Bengals a playoff team? It depends. Because as of this moment, you got T. Higgins is been out. We don't know when he's coming back. Orlando Brown's been out. We don't know when he's coming back. And listen, the next two games, well, actually, of the remaining games we have so far, the next three out of those next six are going to be very tough games. Next week, you got Los Angeles. Then coming off the bye, you do have games that you should be able to win. You have games that you should be able to win. You got Dallas and you got Tennessee, and then you got Cleveland. So I honestly think it could go either way. But like I said, without that other wide receiver with T. Higgins, but thankfully Mike Gesicki's been stepping up and he had a good game last week with two touchdowns. And he's been and the Bengals, I think it's possible, but I wouldn't hold my breath though. Pat, you think the Bengals are a playoff team?
I guess I win football games. I'll put it at that before my internet goes out again.
What was
Short and
that?
sweet. Before the internet goes out again, they need to start winning football games. If they lose tonight and they lose maybe the next 3 of 5, they're done.
No, because like I said, the next couple games they got, who do they got? They got the Chargers, then they got the Steelers
50-50.
twice,
They're losing both of those.
then they have Cleveland, which they should win,
Should
and they
win.
have Dallas and Tennessee.
Should win those two too, because Dallas is done for the year and Tennessee is abysmal.
And last week the Bengals beat the Raiders 41 to 24, 27 completions out of 39 attempts, 251 yards, 5 touchdowns from Joe Burrow, 2 touchdowns from Mike Gesicki. Like I said, he's been stepping up in T. Higgins' absence. One from Chase Brown, Drew Sample, and Andreas Civius. Okay. Should have the should have the Bengals added more at the trade deadline, Patchman?
No, because they're not a playoff team right now. They're Joe Burrow's trying to wake up and smell the roses. Yes, he's in his white hair Eminem Slim Shady phase of his life, but we'll leave it at that. The Bengals are just not a good football team at the moment, and there was no need. They're looking like they can win maybe 9 games, but in reality, it's looking like a maybe 7 or 8 games, and we're questioning certain things in the Cincinnati Bengals organization. The Bengals don't have any fight right now.
I think they could have added more. They got Khalil Herbert, which could be useful because Zach Moss is out for the season. But I think they should have focused more on beefing up their rush defense because that is a thing that the Bengals have struggled with this year. So I think they could have used that to beef up their defense. So anyway, if you were to start a franchise with one of these quarterbacks, would it be Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson?
It's Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is better than. Not to discredit Joe Burrow. I like Joe Burrow, but Lamar can run. Lamar can run with the ball when needed. He's great out of the pocket, great in the pocket. He can get the ball out quick when needed. Lamar is a five-tool quarterback player. Can throw the deep ball, can run with the ball, be good in the pocket, out of the pocket, and can escape the sack. Like not much more he can ask for. And he, like I say, he can throw the deep ball when needed.
Yes. Now I'm going with Lamar as well, just because he can really run the ball. He can really run the ball. I think he would be the I think Lamar would be the stronger pick. All right. So, Patchman, what is your X factors for tonight?
I mean, if we're looking at Baltimore, I'm looking for Derrick Henry to get a couple touchdowns early. But if Baltimore just wants to take care of business, get this game out of reach early. You're inside the 5, we'll give it to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry will get in the end zone.
Now,
On
I'm
the
going to
flip
agree with
side,
you.
now
I'm
if we're
going to
looking at the
agree.
Bengals, go ahead.
I'm going to agree with you that on the Ravens, I think Derrick Henry is going to be an X factor tonight. They need to take advantage of this Bengals rush defense, which has been abysmal this year. So I'm going to go with that too. I'm going with Derrick Henry. All right, what's the Bengals X factor?
It's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's got to find find life for this team. Joe Burrow can find life. I'll maybe give the Bengals some hope. They can win it if they can win tonight. I'll give them a little bit of hope, but all signs lead through Baltimore with this one.
Yeah, I think the X factor tonight is, and I've been saying this, is that you have to, spread out with the receivers. Gesicki's been stepping up. You got Jamar Chase, who is like the one of the leading receivers in the NFL. And Gesicki's been stepping up in T. Higgins' absence. So I'm gonna say the receiver core. Okay. Prediction, go.
Prediction: Baltimore wins. But Baltimore should win this game. Take care of business. It might be a close one at one point, but I'm looking at maybe 34-18.
I'm
34,
saying
34-21 maybe. Maybe the Bengals get a little bit of offensive going, but no, 34-21 Baltimore.
I'm going Bengals. No, not Bengals. Ravens 34 to 28. So roughly the same, but similar. Roughly the same, but slightly different. Okay, that is our show for this week. If you want to know more, go to www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. Check out our blogs, check out our history, check us out here on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, check out our socials, and don't forget to check us out on wherever you get your podcasts to listen to that. Patchman, thank you again for joining me this week.
Anytime, my friend.
Okay.
Remember, say goodnight to Mama. Mama loves you. Say goodnight to Pop. Pop loves you too.
Yeah. For Lawrence Patchman Lang, I'm Bill Corpus, Crispy Murphy. Stay safe.